Ooh, I would love to work with Pink. She's probably inspired me as a live performer more than any other artist, and she's just so cool. I'd love to work with Pink. These dresses? Oh, so this is from a dress line I helped create with a dress designer named Jessica Kay, and it was really fun to get to work with her. I actually just reached out to her just saying I appreciated her brand, because her brand is very like inclusive. They have sizes for all different body types, from like double X small to like I think quadruple XL. And her whole motto is that she feels like everybody should be able to feel like a princess if they want to. And so she just makes the most gorgeous dresses that look good on every body type. And that is her goal, is to just make everyone feel beautiful in their own body. So I reached out to her just to say I appreciated what her brand stood for. Luna's just gonna nestle back there. She's a burrower. She likes to like burrow. She's burrowing. But anyway, so I reached out to her, and then she was like, well, let's do something together. So we ended up getting to design these beautiful dresses, and it was a lot of fun to work with. Yes? I started playing at the age of 6. Are you a violinist? Yes, we're both violinists. How old are you guys? Oh my goodness, we have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. How fun. Both perfect ages to play the violin. All right. Yes, the gentleman in the black.
Do you ever have any thoughts of doing anything with Apocalyptica?
Apocalyptica, that would be very cool. I would be very down to do something with Apocalyptica. They're like a hardcore cello group. They're pretty intense, but it's like metal cello. Yes, gentleman in the gray.
What's your favorite Christmas tradition?
My favorite Christmas tradition, I love the pajamas. You know, I know some people find it very cheesy, but I love the matching family pajamas. There's since I was a kid, my mom has actually always doorbell ditched them to us on Christmas Eve. You know, now that I am, you know, a 36-year-old woman, you would think that might stop, but still every Christmas Eve, the doorbell rings, and my mom is fast. Like, we always try to catch her. We're all adults now, and yet there's only been 1 year where we caught her, and it was only because she tripped and fell down. My mom is the best. She's actually here today. My mom is in the back. Mom's hanging out with us this week. Mom usually comes out on most of our tours, but it's been a minute because of COVID. We couldn't have any extra people come, so it's so nice to have my mom with us again. Yes? Yes, we're bouncing the question over. Who gets it? Yes, what would you like to ask? That's a great question. My dog's name is Luna. She's like a cat dog. She's part cat, I think. Not really. And it's funny, she does love to sit like this. Like when I drive, she'll try to get behind me. I'm just like, no, that's not safe. Or if I'm flying on a plane, she'll spend like the whole flight back here, and people won't even know until I get off the plane and pull her out from behind me. They're like, oh my gosh, a dog has been there the entire time? But she's so quiet and chill, so she's my Zen dog. Yes, in the cool Bob Ross sweater.
If you could spend a day in an anime or a cartoon, which one would you choose?
If I could spend a day in an anime or a cartoon? You know, I really liked the series Arcane. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, nice.
I would love to step into that world. Like that whole League of Legends land was pretty awesome. Yes? What inspired me to play the violin? So, when I was really little, my parents loved classical music, and so they would play a lot of old classical records in our house. And also they would take us to these community orchestra concerts. And I always noticed, at a very young age, that the first chair violinist would always come out, and the whole audience would get quiet, and the orchestra would hush, and then they would tune the orchestra with their A string, like the violinist would always do that. And I was like, that's the star. I just was very aware that that was the player. And so I think that's why I asked for violin lessons, is they always got the solos, and in my mind I was like, that's how you become a star. So yeah, I asked for violin lessons when I was 6 years old. In the very back, in the sparkly dress. My favorite thing about touring.
That was my question.
It's so hard to pick one thing because I genuinely love touring. It really has become a happy place for me. I think the two answers to that I'll divide it into is I love to entertain. I love to make people smile. Since I was a little kid, I joke that I was born with center stage syndrome, where I just, if I noticed that people thought something was funny or entertaining, I would just do it more. I just loved to entertain people since I was a kid, and getting to now put on a show at a scale that I get to with like costumes and dancers and, you know, great lighting. It's so exciting for me to do that. And then the second part is, you know, the people I tour with really have become like family to me, and we're all best friends, and we've toured together for so many years, most of us. And so it really is like a home away from home. And sometimes I feel like this is the most real part of my life, is getting to be on the road with my family and my people. And it's something that I don't take it for granted. It's not wasted on me. I'm so aware that this is so special, and I'm grateful for it. Yes. Yes, with the antlers. Oh, okay, dang it. Red antlers first. They both have antlers.
No, my question was, I know you've been through a lot anyway, and I hope this is personal, but I'm going through struggles with my family. My dad is really sick. And so what advice do you have for, especially the holidays,
Yes, I'm so sorry. You know, the holidays are so magical when they're magical, but when you're going through a hard time and then you watch everybody else having the best time, and like I remember that feeling of like watching everybody else posting, you know, with their families when, you know, my dad was really sick and we were not having a great holiday and we were in the hospital, and that was so hard. And I think just allowing yourself to know that hard is hard, and allowing yourself to feel everything, like there's no way to put a Band-Aid on it and make it better. But just letting yourself know that like people go through that, you're not alone, and that things will get better in life. Like as painful as that experience was for me, and as alone as I felt in that time, and sad as it was, like I've healed and I've been able to find happiness again with my family, even though my dad's not here anymore. Like we've been able to heal together and still make new and beautiful memories. And so just knowing that there is something on the other side of the hardship you're going through. I'm so sorry that you're experiencing that. I'm so sorry. Well, I hope everything, yeah. My other set of antlers. If I could choose a superpower for myself, what would I choose as my superpower? I would choose to be, I mean, flying is like the ultimate. Like, wouldn't we all just love to fly? You'll see I have an obsession with it, actually, during the show. But also really fast. I love like scaring people, and I love like pulling little pranks, and if I was really fast, that would be awesome. In the very back. Yeah, with the red sweater.
As well. The video game? Yeah. Oh, I'm going first. Okay. She'll when she gets one question, no? Oh, I see. Cool. Good strategy.
Yeah. You know, it's always different. The Upside actually started as a vocal track, and we wrote the lyrics and the melody for a voice, and then I found a way to do it and like kind of mold it so it could be for violin. And then Guardian was the other way around. I wrote that for the violin, and that's why the melody is very different that the singer sings, because a violin can do what a vocalist can do, but a lot of times a vocalist would never sing what a violin would play. So that's why it's a very different melody that Mako, the singer, is singing than what my violin played on the original version. So, but yeah, it can go both ways. Yes, in the middle. Oh, Lizzie's awesome. We actually met each other through that collaboration. Like neither one of us had really heard of each other before, and we didn't meet till she came to the studio to record it. And she is just a pro. Like she is not only so talented, like that goes without saying, Lizzie's amazing, and it was incredible to hear her record it perfectly. Like she literally, you know, nailed it every time, which is so amazing, singing notes that high. But also, she was just fun to work with. Like, and I didn't realize how cool of her this was, but when we filmed the music video, I kind of told her the vision for it, and I said, I would love for you to wear something like this, and I showed her a picture of this like steampunk, you know, girl with like goggles on her head and like overalls, and she was like, okay. Lizzie always wears black leather and like stilettos, like that's her thing. And so the fact that she was just like, I'm down, I'll dress up in your quirky little costume. Like that's so cool of her to do as an artist, because a lot of artists that I've worked with since are very protective of like, no, this is the way I look, this is the way I want to look. But Lizzie was just like down to play dress up, and I just thought that was so cool of her. And so anyways, I will always love Lizzie Hale, and that's one of my favorite songs I've ever released, is probably Shatter Me. Yes? I actually, my team, I had someone kind of helping, like you usually have someone kind of A&Ring an album, like helping you find the collaborators and stuff like that. And so they suggested her, and I heard her music and was like, oh yeah, she could sing it. Because it was actually quite a high song, and I wanted a rocker chick. I was like, I want someone who can rock to sing this. And so when they showed me Lizzie's videos, I was like, oh yeah, that'd be great. Yes? You know, I feel like my main inspirations are kind of Evanescence, you know, or Amy Lee. I was always super inspired by like those soaring melodies over like these gritty, intense sounds, and I think that's kind of the way I write a lot of my music. I was also very inspired by John Williams when I was a little kid. He was such a master at making instruments and, you know, music without words to tell specific stories. And then I think my specific style was very much also inspired by Skrillex. I heard Bangarang and was like, oh my gosh, this dubstep stuff is so cool, I have to figure out how to do it. So I would say those are probably my three biggest inspirations that helped me fuse my sound. Yeah. Ooh. I mean, I think that there's two parts to practice, I like to say. I feel like you have to do what I say, the boring stuff, and there's just no way to get around it. I still find scales and arpeggios and vibrato practice, it's very tedious, and it's not necessarily fun, but so that stuff is so important, and you gotta do it, but also you have to find ways to find the fun in it, and so I kind of treat my practices almost like dinner. My meat and potatoes is my scales and arpeggios, my classical music, and then you gotta have your dessert too, so that you remember why you do it. And you know, that can be playing your favorite Lindsey Stirling song, you know. Or for me, it was like fiddle music. I used to love to play fiddle music, and that was like almost my reward for the rest of my practice, if that makes sense. So that's something I like to share, because you have to have fun, but you also have to, you gotta do the stuff. Yes? What's my favorite album I've made so far? That's like choosing a favorite child. I think, honestly, my Artemis album, I think, might be my favorite. I think it's my most diverse and like best, you know, best melodies, I feel like, are in that album. So that's probably my favorite. Yes. Orange. Orange is my favorite color. In the lovely red dress. Sleepwalking. I'm a big fan of Alan Walker, and he has a very specific sound, and so I was kind of inspired. The cadence of that song is kind of the way that like Alan Walker writes a little bit. So I was inspired by that, and also I don't know. I just liked the whole concept of the Artemis album was all based around my comic book, and the main character of the comic book, she keeps getting these dreams, and at first she thinks they're random, but then she starts to realize that these dreams are not just, you know, her imagination, they're actually messages that are coming from somewhere. She's not even sure where, but they're guiding her, and it ends up being that well, I don't want to spoil it, I'm not going to tell you. But these dreams are guiding her, and I'm just such a believer that like we have angels that are directing us and guiding us, and perhaps, you know, the things we think and the dreams we dream, perhaps they're not just random, perhaps they're a communication and they're helping us. So that's where sleepwalking came from, is like, you know, that concept. And I just said one word through the whole song. Yes?
So first off, your PJ thing resonated with me. So.
Nice. Looking good with the suit. I like it.
Second one is, out of your busy week, how much of that time do you spend recharging, and what do you do?
You know, well, on tour, sometimes when we have a day off, there's certain days where we literally all just lay in bed all day. Like, tour is pretty exhausting. Like, I love it, but at the same time, sometimes you literally, after a hard week, it's like, I'm just gonna lay in bed and do nothing. Other times, like we had a game night the other night where we all just played the voting game, which is our favorite game on tour. It's quite funny. You have to be careful not to get offended, but it's a great game. I highly recommend for friends, family. But also, I definitely recharge through creativity a lot of times. So for me, I get, you know, sometimes I may get burnt out in one mode of creating, like writing, or, you know, if I do something too long, but I find I recharge through turning to something else and getting to create over here. Like, if I'm burnt out of writing, maybe I go and like concept some music videos and edit, or maybe I make a costume. Like I kind of really thrive through creativity, and I just kind of switch modes if I get burnt out. Yes, the gentleman from Jordan.
Yeah. Which video game music did you enjoy playing the most?
You know, I really enjoyed The Legend of Zelda, probably because I played that as a kid, and it kind of rang true to me, and I don't know, it just was like reminiscent of my childhood a little bit, that one, more than a lot of the other ones.
Awesome.
Let's see. Yes. Who is my hero? Oh man, I mean, it might sound generic, but probably my parents, you know, like, my mom's sitting in the back, I'm gonna get emotional. I'm just so grateful for like everything that my parents everything my parents sacrificed to make it so that I could do what I love. Like, it wasn't easy for them to give me violin lessons and continuously take me to all the different extracurricular things that me and all of my sisters were able to invest in, but it was all because of my parents. Like, so yeah, they're my heroes for sure. Oh my goodness, thank you for your service. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Yes.
Did you say Bahrain? Did you say Bahrain?
What inspired me to make Crystallize? Well, you know, that was the first dubstep song that I ever wrote, and so I was really inspired by this artist named Skrillex that was like writing dubstep music, and I felt like he was the first person that added melody to dubstep, and so I was like, I want to take it further than where he took it, and I want to make like, you know, really flowing melodies, and I really wanted to make Crystallize a song that the dubstep community would appreciate, but also that my grandmother could think was beautiful. And so that was my goal, to kind of toe that line, and I think I succeeded. Grandma liked it. Let's see. In the green. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot, because you know, I've been touring for 10 years, and gosh, you would hope that you've improved through all of this, you know, all the time and the hours and the practicing that I've put in through the last decade. And I think that, I don't know, touring, we joke sometimes that it's like Groundhog Day, and it's kind of the same day every day. And like I said, luckily I love it, and I love the people I work with, but it can be so monotonous, and I think it's almost like it's on me if I allow myself to get bored from putting on a show. Like, since it's something I love, if I get bored with it, then my audience will probably be bored. They'll sense that I'm not excited anymore. And so to keep me excited, I keep learning new things and I keep trying to elevate my performance, and I get an idea and I'm like, well, I couldn't do that yet, but I could learn. I have 3 months before my tour. And so it's like, I think by continuing to learn new things, it keeps me excited. It kind of almost keeps me on the edge of my seat, where I'm like, all right, this is gonna be tough, but I can do it. And so just continuing to like try to up my game is how I think I stay excited to like come out here and show you guys something that's like, yes.
What was your favorite music video to film?
It's probably Round Table Rival. I loved that one, and that will probably, I don't think I'll ever be able to outdo that one. That one was just a lot of fun.
was a good
And I
one.
loved the story, I loved the costuming, and like the little western town was so cute. Like everything about it was just next level. In the hat. You know, it's kind of funny. I balance between like, I'm really happy doing what I'm doing, and if I just continued to like do this forever, I think I would continue to be really happy. But at the same time, I definitely have other goals. Like I really enjoy hosting. It's something I've started to dabble in, and I hope to do more of that on a bigger scale. I hope to have a Vegas residency someday. So there's definitely like goals and things I'm excited about in the future, but at the same time, I'm really stoked about where I'm at. In the lovely plaid dress. I did not film Chris. So the same guy that built the ice castles in Utah, for some reason the year I filmed it, he did it in Colorado, but it's the same guy, same family that makes them. But yes, it's that dude, but the year I went to Colorado to film it. My lovely princess.
Oh.
What's my favorite video that I've made? It's probably, well, Round Table Rival is one of my favorites, but another one of my favorites, I really like Till the Light Goes Out. I was really proud of that one. I got to learn stunt choreography for it. All right, in the back.
When you first started out and tried to go on with your first shows, if you ever started having like self-doubt, people
Yeah, you know, I guess overcoming self-doubt is like a muscle that you continuously exercise through life. Like, I feel like it was, in the beginning of my career, it was hard because I didn't have I wasn't able to look back and see proof that I had done it before. And so it was really hard those first few times to get over that hump of like, wow, no one believes in me, or except for my mom, she always believed in me. But wow, that was humiliating. I don't want to feel that again. Or like those moments of feeling defeated, like I didn't have the proof behind me to say, well, it's okay, I can get through this because I've done it before. But I'm a big believer that we have different voices that we hear. There's like our mind voices, and then there's like your soul voice, and your mind is what kind of relies upon experience and says, well, that was embarrassing, or that hurt, I don't want to do that again, I'm afraid, I'm scared. But your heart, and luckily I listened to my heart because it was like, there's more. You just need to get back up again. Your journey isn't over. And so like by listening to my heart and being like, okay, and I think that also comes from like God. And I just felt like I was being told that keep going. Because sometimes I have reached a turning point and the answer has been like, yeah, it's time to leave that door closed. But the only way you can really know that is by trusting like that inner heart, soul voice. Yeah, that will never lead you astray. Yes?
Two things. First of all, I really wanted to thank you. When I was going for my bachelor's degree, I dropped out of school like twice, and when I discovered your music for the third time, I really got through it, and I felt like it felt like I got this damage buff every time I listened to it.
Right on, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And also, when did you first discover that you could dance and play the violin at the same time?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when did I discover that I could dance and play at the same time? Well, I was actually not a natural mover, as you will say. I never learned to dance until I was in my 20s. I was 23 when I first started to I was like, I'm gonna teach myself how to dance. And it was a very intentional thought because I was actually always the kid that literally couldn't move when I would play. And my teacher would be like, sway with the music a little bit, emote something, but I was literally like a statue when I would play. So yeah, it was very much like I was writing this music that was engaging and big and dynamic, and I just couldn't imagine performing it and standing still. So I was like, well, I better learn how to move and play. And it just started off as that, okay, I could walk, and then I could maybe I could glance over there. It was all so calculated and so choreographed because it was so unnatural. And it would take me weeks to learn one song of literally moving, not even dancing, and playing. And after I got decent at that, then I was like, oh, I bet I could spin. Oh, I bet I could kind of flick my leg. Maybe even, I can kick my leg really high. Okay. So it's just experimentation, and and again, it's just been fun to hone that craft and get better and better and better at it through the last 10 years, and because it's something that I've really invested in and worked really hard on. Yes. Well, how have I adjusted to giving up some of the creative control to... The problem is I haven't really. Okay, and to be full disclosure, it is a little bit of the, when you're a creative person, you have your vision, and it's sometimes really hard to express that to other people. But also, some of the things that I haven't given up yet is because I genuinely like that part. I love editing. I always have. I was editing videos when I was a teenager, and I always found it so fun to put puzzle pieces together like that and tell stories. I love costume designing. I've been making costumes since I was 8 years old, and I'm trying to think of what else, but yeah, you have to give up some of it. And so I've just had to learn, what are the things that I don't care about and that I'm actually not that great at. And for example, mixing. I used to feel like I had to do everything, but I've learned, I let my managers, and they have great ears, I let them handle the mixing. I let, so the things that I don't care about, I really have learned to have to let go because I love way too much of the process, and I've hung on to far too much of it. So yeah. Yes. I don't have any plans at the moment to do another book, but if I was to do another book, it would probably be more along the wellness sector. I love self-help books and just hearing other people's stories of how they overcame things and where science meets woo-woo, love it. So I would probably do a book somewhere in that world. Yes. My favorite festival, I would say we did Lollapalooza one time, and that was a lot of fun. We loved that. And then Electric Forest was really amazing. It's like it sounds, they light up the forest at night. It's all glowy, and people are dressed as fairies. It's wonderful. All right, maybe one last question. Yes?
Where do you draw the majority of your inspiration from as far as classical composers go? Who's your favorite classical composer?
Oh, well, my favorite classical composer, I don't know if this really counts, but I love John Williams so much. The first album I actually ever bought as a preteen was John Williams' Greatest Hits. And so I love that I think he's the best musical storyteller. You hear these several notes in a sequence, and automatically you're in Harry Potter land, or automatically you're like, oh my gosh, Indiana Jones, just by his melodies. And I just don't think anyone does it quite like he does. So he's my favorite. But anyways, well, thank you guys so much for coming today to our VIP experience. We're so excited for the show, and we'll see you soon. Bye, Luna.